Okay.
Whoops, that's not the camera I want. That's the one I want. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. Hope you all are having a great Thursday so far. Hope you guys all tuned into the Power Hour last night. It was a long one, but it was a good discussion. It was a fun discussion, fun show. So hope you guys enjoyed that as well. Checking in on the chat here. No downvotes yet. It's early. Give it time. Man, Ty, you have no idea how hard I was rooting for the Colts the previous 3 weeks. Yeah, we should all take a moment in silence maybe for Ty and the Colts. It's such a good season to start anyway. Traded away 2 first-round picks for a cornerback to the Jets. QB gets hurt. You have to bring in a guy who hadn't played in 5 years because he was your best option, and you missed the playoffs and basically mortgaged the future to do so. Bummer. It's like the one thing worse than being a Vikings fan right now might be being a Colts fan. Just kidding, Ty. I feel bad for you. I was going for him too. Where's the moment of silence for the Ravens? Nobody cares about the Ravens. Ty did win the Badlands Fantasy League. Oh, I owe you some merch, don't I? I think I said I'd throw in some merch. We'll have to go back and figure out what I owe you. You'll have to let me know. Constitutional Patriot Grunt fighting stage 4 prostate cancer in Oklahoma. Man, prayers to you. I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, I'd love to be like, have you tried these, non-traditional remedies and therapies? But I imagine you have, being here watching this. Today's show, kind of back to a little bit more boring news cycle. I don't think we've talked about the Minneapolis stuff on this show, so I'll mention it. We did discuss it last night a little bit. It's kind of been the big topic on social media anyway. Everybody's an expert in ballistic forensic video analysis and justified use of force. Everybody has an opinion on everything. It's so stupid. But we'll briefly mention that. And I think the biggest story to me is what the Senate is trying to do to Trump and the war powers and what's going on in Venezuela. So we'll talk about that as well. But before we get into any of that, let's get a quick word from our sponsors. First up, we got MyPillow.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest Made in America sale ever. We just put huge discounts on products made right here in the USA. MyPillow bed pillows, body pillows, go anywhere pillows, bolster pillows, all made with my patented adjustable fill. Mattresses, mattress toppers, mattress pads, adjustable bed frames, mattress foundations, and so much more. All made right here in the USA. And now we're expanding our USA products beyond just quality sleep. Like the cross I wear every day, now available in both men's and women's. We even have USA-made socks. And are you tired of being tired? Try our new health beverage, Rev 7. Or how about my coffee, the greatest coffee ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get deep discounts on all these products. Plus, for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Love deep discounts. Check out mypillow.com. Make sure you use our promo code so you can support yourself with a better night's sleep and support Badlands in the process. And we also got Van Man coming in today. You know about Van Man taking down big toothpaste with all natural oral care, right? It's the perfect time to grab the dental care bundle to gift. Van Man's tooth powder is loaded with minerals like eggshells and bone, and combined with pulling oils and peppermint aloe mouth rinse, it's truly the ultimate fluoride-free dental hygiene bundle that saves you 25% off the individual prices. And the van never stops, introducing Van Man's new Pearl Eye Cream and Sweet Onion Shampoo. Head over to badlandsmedia.tv/vanman to see what's new. That's badlandsmedia.tv/vanman. All righty. Yeah, I think I saw who was it that said it in the chat. Phil Scarborough, that retard was high right now. Retard level is high right now. The thing is, it's always high. The level is always high. It's just whether there on display? That's the question. We never know. And right now it's one of those times where it's definitely on display. QT17, Bitcoin plunged, eventually ending the year down about 6 to 7% and approximately 87,000. You've been rug pulled. Hey, where's your G money? It's back up. It's a roller coaster. I don't know why all the Bitcoin hate. Bitcoin and other cryptos can succeed too. But let's get into the news of the day and get to the Minneapolis topic and then to the Senate and war powers topic. No update on the Doge website. Gold and silver right now is at 76, so it's down a little bit. Gold 44.75, down from its high, but still doing well. Bitcoin, as mentioned, badlandsmedia.tv/river, 91,200. A couple interesting presidential actions. Actually, we talked about one of these last night, and one of these has to do with Trump's True Social posts. So let me find these two things first. And we did talk about these last night, and I thought these were so funny. The way Trump said these two posts back to back. So first was this one and this one. Okay. So here he's talking about how Raytheon has been like a very bad and naughty defense contractor. They've been spending all their money on shareholders. They think it's like, oh, it's the Biden administration. Business as usual. It's not. Start investing in us or we're going to stop investing in you. Essentially, that's me paraphrasing the True Social post from Donald Trump on Raytheon. And this is what he followed it up with. Now, how much time after was this? The first post, this post about Raytheon being a shitty defense contractor, 3:02 p.m. yesterday. This one at 3:17 p.m. Okay. After a long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, and secretaries and other political representatives, I've determined that for the good of the country, especially in these very troubled and dangerous times, our military budget for the year 2027 should not be $1 trillion. Like when you first read it, it's like, oh my gosh, he's going to say that our defense budget's too high. This is amazing. This is great. But instead he says, but rather $1.5 trillion. $1.5 trillion. This will allow us to build the dream military that we have long been entitled to, and more importantly, that will keep us safe and secure, blah, 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 blah. So he goes from like, man, this defense contractor sure is like getting rich off of the taxpayer. They better stop doing that and start actually like investing in the United States with that money. He follows it up with like, we are going to increase the shit out of how much we spend on defense and how much money we give to our defense contractors. Like two complete polar opposite sides of a spectrum here, and I think it's ridiculous. No, I do not agree that we should be spending this kind of money. Opposite world, John. Yes. Super gay. Agreed. Insane. Totally agreed. Pen W. But anyway, that's where this comes into play. One of the executive orders. Prioritizing the warfighter and defense contracting. So this probably more so has to do with the first tweet he had. Talking about contractors, investments, and to increase capacity production and all that stuff. That's definitely having to do with the first tweet. But then it's just so funny that he followed up with, we're going to spend even more. But probably the most interesting, on the heels of the national security strategy where Trump like, hey, we're going to focus on the Western Hemisphere. NATO, you guys are barely recognizable. We don't even know if we're going to be your ally in the future. And then also in line with the general theme of what we were told this administration would be, which would be saving money and, you know, eliminating the fraud, waste, and abuse. We have this move, which I think is a great move because there's so many of these stupid little organizations, conventions, the treaties, whatever, that are completely opposite. And as he says here, contrary to the interests of the United States, but huge wastes of money. How much money we're spending on some of these programs is just insanity. But this is what it is. Withdrawing the United States from international organizations, conventions, and treaties that are contrary to the interests of the United States. There are 35 non-United Nations organizations, which is great stuff. And then there are 31 31. Whoops, I missed it. Here, 31 UN organizations. So we're starting that retreat. And I think it's interesting too. I think yesterday on this show, I talked about what he said about NATO. Where did I put it? Yeah, right here. When he was like breaking up with them almost. The screen there. We will always be there for NATO, even if they won't be there for us. And then they post that executive order withdrawing us, our proclamation. It's good stuff. $1,000 hammers, $10,000 switches. Richard Rohr with the Daily John News is fake and gay, but NATO threatened to take over our military base and go to war with us, so there's that. Yeah, I wish them luck. Regime changes cost a lot of money. Careful. We have to be careful and get approval before we call it a regime change, or the audience will be upset with us. CSUSB Geochem, good to see you, man. Says, well, the money is the money, but I'm saying it's more funneled. $20 for Folgers? Where's that at? Nancy K. Reese. $6.99 for a can, but right now the cheapest at Walmart is $22. That is wild. Sunny Ray, bravest. John should have stayed in his lane. Devolution. Almost done with him, unfortunately. John, do you think you're smarter than Trump? No. Of course not. Trump has access to more information than anybody. I've never once claimed to know more than Trump. I've never once claimed to know all the answers either. But based on available information, thinking there is something bigger going on behind the scenes, but not having privy to it, I don't get to operate on that. None of us should. Always got to be that one retard, yeah. The haters come in and do that all the time, though. A lot of sock accounts. Some of them are legit, and, I don't expect everybody to love me. But a lot of sock accounts and haters popping in to make comments like that, thinking it'll draw people away. Denise and 2, John, I'm at the urgent care, but the silver lining is I get to catch you live. Why are you at the urgent care? Tattoo teacher, don't fight with heckler, send to the principal. Yeah, Ty, that's my one downvote. John is right where he needs to be. Gator Rob, watch out or you might get stung by the beehive. Gator Rob, you've been kind of a douche sometimes, though, so I think you getting stung is a little deserved. Haters all work for onion wars. People need to be respectful. You can't expect people to be respectful. Nobody's respectful. Okay, let's talk Minnesota, maybe. Let's see if I thought I had a video pulled up of something recent. I mean, it's like all over. Everybody's, oh, he shouldn't have done it. It was justified. Oh, he shouldn't have done it. It wasn't justified. I'm not an expert. I'm not a use of force expert. I'm not a video forensic analyst. Everybody's like showing this video. And yeah, he gets pushed back. It was a little icy. He's probably lucky that it was icy because it kind of pushed him out of the way. To me, this comes down to don't interfere with police trying to do police things, which this lady was clearly trying to do. I obviously do not wish ill or want anybody dead. Like, that's awful. But I'm not gonna like celebrate this either. But it's kind of her own fault here. And if I was in the ICE agent's shoes, I probably would have done the same thing. We could like go back and forth over video. And this is even sped up, it seems like. Oh, no, it's not. We can go back and forth and like debate over the video, but you don't know what was going on in his head in that moment. Like, your job is to do a thing. Somebody's trying to stop you from doing it. And it appears for a moment you might lose your own life. You might get run over by a car because of the actions of somebody trying to interfere with what you're doing. I probably would have done the same exact thing. But outside of like the debate over whether or not it was justified and whatever, the surrounding narratives of this whole thing on the heels of the ruling we got out of SCOTUS over the National Guard being in Illinois, this is what interests me the most, is the response. Like overnight, there was protests and whatnot and some confrontations. I don't think I've heard of any further like deaths. I could be wrong. But depending how things go there in Minneapolis, especially with Tim Walz and the mayor of is it Minneapolis or St. Paul or whatever being basically combative and encouraging of the behavior, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another move by Trump, whether that's bringing in the National Guard again or this time just the military directly. Is he going to do the Insurrection Act? Maybe. I don't know. I think he probably wants to avoid that if he can, just for the optics of it. But I also don't think he's going to let the optics drive his decision making necessarily. Like, if the only thing stopping him from doing the Insurrection Act was how the mainstream media would spin it, that's not enough to get him to stop doing it. So we'll see. But then we'll get another court challenge, Supreme Court. It'll escalate. But at some point, this has to happen. Like, these things need to stop taking place. It's senseless. I don't know if she's a paid agitator. I heard she was a lesbian poet from Colorado. That's a trifecta, but I'm not sure what it's trifecta of, but it does seem to be like some sort of trifecta. Like, so why did she come up here just to protest? Was she living there? Why did she feel the need to protest for Somalians? Don't get it. Johnny's already done it, Richard Rohr. We think so. Maybe. We don't know. It's speculation. Can you be a poet today? I'm not a very good poet. Can we go back to talking about regime change? I mean, we can. Should we talk about Minnesota regime change? You should send the military in to kidnap Tim Walz and charge him for his crimes. John, dead people don't matter much anymore. Does anybody know a poet in real life? My girlfriend has written poetry. Dead people don't. She's experiencing Minnesota. Sounded like Timmy Boy declared war on the federal government in his presser yesterday. The Dead Poet Society. I like that. John, you can't impute a sound mental state to psychotic Karens. I agree. I know you can't. It is what it is. Like, you're not going to be able to convince them that what the ICE agent did here was justified. There are even people that I know that are like conservative Trump supporters that are like, yeah, that probably wasn't justified. The debates over that stuff is going to happen over and over again. But what needs to be maintained is Trump's support for the military. If you had like a Biden or a Democrat in office, and this is honestly probably the concern there in Minneapolis directly with what they did to, God, what was the guy's name? Derek Chauvin, the George Floyd thing. They'd go after this guy. You know they would. But I don't think Trump would allow that to happen. I'm hoping he's not from Minnesota. But if he's ICE, he's with the federal agency, federal government, I'm sure they'll not allow that to happen. And eventually, like, the more that these things continue to happen, it's unfortunate, obviously, but it sets a tone and a precedent. Like, don't interfere with law enforcement. Things like this have to happen for people to kind of learn a lesson. Like, we're not going to tolerate this bogus woke behavior anymore. Don't interfere and you won't die. There is your poetry, John. What was my poetry? Trump's going to be the last president. Read the book, bro. Which book? Wonder if Trump could pardon the George Floyd cop. I think it was a state police, though, wasn't it? And state crime. What's going to happen is the agent will be punished before the fraud. I mean, hey, it's possible. I feel like Trump, in order to set the tone and also like live up to what he's been saying about the military and the police, it's like, back the blue, right? We got your back. We're gonna stop interfering in you guys doing your job. And part of that is like supporting law enforcement officers who do something like this. regardless of the debate over whether or not it was justified. He was doing his job. She was interfering. He did what he thought was necessary. We're going to defer to that. Case closed. GP Shea, good to see you. Thank you for the rant. Says, I sat on a jury in a case of a vehicle charging at an officer who was trying to get it stopped. Officer got several shots off before he was ultimately ran over and nearly killed. Wow. Tired of derangement going unpunished? Yeah. It was the same ICE agent that was dragged by a car this summer. I've seen that too. Which in his head, like, it's happened before. I'm not going to let it happen again. Justified. Whether you agree with that or not. I think most people in this community obviously probably do. It's the competing ideas, right, between one side and the other side, and it's very rare that like the libs and the conservatives actually ever interact anymore, which is unfortunate. Mainly because the left is like deranged. But it should be a place where, like, okay, we have opposing opinions on this. Let's debate it, talk it out, whatever, disagree, without taking to the streets and causing more problems and interfering more in law enforcement operations. But no, they're in their little echo chamber. We're in ours. GB Shea follows up with another $5. Says, dude was found guilty of deliberate attempted homicide and went to prison for life. Yeah. CSUSB Geochem says, I don't agree. He had the right, but you don't need to blow someone's brains out. Use training and shoot non-lethal. He didn't get run over. Yeah, I know, but in the moment, when it's like, that's a split second there. You don't know what's going to happen. Rise of Tire. John Solomon reported evidence shows gunshot directly in the center of a windshield from 90-degree angle. Proves she was driving forward, and he was in front of the vehicle when he first shot. When the first shot was fired. Natural Nikki, I'm sorry, but if you're trying to kill me with a car, I'm going to blow your brains out. Yeah. There's lots of things he could have done differently, but he didn't. And this is what happened. Like, we can armchair quarterback something somebody did in a split second that ended up being a tragic situation because somebody died. But leading up to the situation, like leading up to what happened, it never should have taken place. He never should have been put into a position where we should be even having a debate over whether or not it was justified. But the reason he was in that position was this lady chose to interfere in law enforcement operations. And so it's not his fault that she chose to do that. It's not his fault he was put in that situation where you could argue a mistake was made. This falls squarely on her and then squarely on the mainstream media who's perpetrated the lies and stoked the fear and the anger in these people to even be out there in the first place. And then also the local politicians there who have also allowed this stuff to go on unchecked. I mean, we can go all the way back to like if Minnesota wasn't allowing Somalians to commit fraud and allowing all these illegal immigrants to operate freely there, this also never would have happened. You want to argue that she shouldn't have died? Yeah, but it's not his fault. He may have pulled the trigger and it may have been a debatable incident, but there was many things leading up to it that he had no control over there. He was just doing his job. She was interfering with it for a multitude of reasons. Case closed. But let's move on to something else. Let's talk about this for a little bit. Senate votes to restrict Trump on Venezuela. What a bunch of fags. Procedural vote is a rare critique of Trump's authority in the first test of GOP loyalty since last weekend's capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. The Senate on Thursday voted to advance legislation that would force President Donald Trump to seek congressional approval before taking any new military action in Venezuela, a stunning rebuke for the White House in the first big test of GOP unity since capture. Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky, noted douchebag, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, scissoring expert, Suzanne Collins of Maine. I just hate her. She's how old is she? She's like 200 years old. Let's just retire already. Todd Young of Indiana. Ty, I blame you for that. And Josh Hawley of Missouri. Well, there goes your future presidential hopes. Backed the measure to check Trump in a 52-47 vote. Paul, the co-sponsor of the resolution, and Murkowski have supported previous attempts to rein in Trump. Of course they have. Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania also supported the measure, despite previously signaling he might oppose it. I am surprised it was that close. I figured there were a lot more douchies in the Senate than that. But let me check something quick. I want to see if Trump did post about it. Republicans should be ashamed of the senators that just voted with Democrats and attempting to take away our powers to fight and defend the United States of America. Suzanne Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and Todd Young should never be elected to office again. Preach. This vote greatly hampers American self-defense and national security, impeding the president's authority as commander-in-chief in any event, and despite their stupidity, the War Powers Act is unconstitutional, totally violating Article 2 of the Constitution, as all presidents and the Departments of Justice have determined before me. Nevertheless, a more important Senate vote will be taking place next week on this very subject. That is interesting. Me and Chris are probably going to talk about the War Powers Act over the Saturday's DPH over the weekend, but I do want to read what was just passed here. Oh, you guys are still talking. John, there's no need to insult the government retards. There's always a need to do that. Trump is right again. Does anyone question where the media was granted authority to spread propaganda and allows them to do business here? That's a good point. Good point. Okay, let's read this. The direct removal of the United States armed forces from hostilities within or against Venezuela that have not been authorized by Congress. The joint resolution is to direct the removal of United States armed forces from hostilities within or against Venezuela that have not been authorized by Congress. Findings. Congress makes the following findings. Congress has sole power to declare war under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of the United States Constitution. Congress has not declared war upon Venezuela or any person or organization within or operating from Venezuela, nor enacted a specific statutory authorization for use of military force within or against Venezuela. The use of military force by the United States Armed Forces within or against Venezuela constitutes the introduction of United States Armed Forces into hostilities within the meaning of Section 4A of the War Powers Resolution, which we can go back to this real quick. 4A of the War Powers Resolution. Does it say which one? 4? Just says 4A. Doesn't say which of these definitions, but we can read them quick. In the absence of a declaration of war, in any case in which the United States Armed Forces are introduced into hostilities or into situations where imminent involvement in hostilities is clearly indicated by the circumstances. I don't know if that's fitting. I don't know if that fits the definition. We don't know if it's imminent. You assholes can't predict the future. Number 2, into the territory, airspace, or waters of a foreign nation while equipped for combat, except for deployments which relate solely to supply, replacement, repair, or training of such forces. Or, you could say replacement. We did a replacement. That's what we'll call it. It wasn't a regime change. It was a replacement. We're good. Number 3, in numbers which substantially enlarge United States Armed Forces equipment for combat already located in a foreign nation. President shall submit, blah, blah, blah. That's the thing. Like, are we, by definition, we're not really engaged. There's just a quick little, like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. John, the 51 constitutions and the federal, the people assembling for the common good created by the federal with 19 grants of authority. Yeah, the whole Congress thinking they can impede a president. Like, presidents have been getting away with doing all sorts of shenanigans. The whole Campbell versus Clinton case, which, again, I'm waiting for that specifically to be argued, which maybe this is the time. But that's the ruling that I always go back to when I talk about devolution and why I think it was implemented. Or how I think it was implemented constitutionally, like the legal enforcement behind it. A president doesn't have to be in declared war to do something. He may look at the actions of another country, determine them to be a war or an act of war, and therefore respond as however he sees fit. And the Supreme Court basically made it known that they wouldn't do anything or couldn't do anything to stop it. And if Trump viewed the situation in Venezuela as such, nobody can question like whether or not he needed the authority or permission to do this. Even though, again, this is what's so silly about the whole thing, and everybody getting all hot and bothered over me calling it a regime change, which I still think it is. I'm against regime changes, but I don't think what he did here was necessarily an unjustified thing. I don't have access to all the information, so it's hard for me to know specifics. I don't even think it was necessarily like against his will. But the principle of changing regimes of other countries, I am against that. Yeah, on principle. That doesn't mean I can't look at this situation and be like, yeah, that was badass, and I understand why you did it. Let's move on. But nobody can question, like, Congress cannot interfere with what Trump did here. And it's almost a little too late, too, because we don't have boots on the ground there. It's not like Trump's going to have to withdraw forces from Venezuela that aren't even there. So what's really going on here? It's like they're on purpose trying to set up this form of constitutional battle to see whether or not Trump had the authority to do this. And it gives Trump a reason to campaign against people, which is great. John, Trump just traded draft choices with the cabal. Yeah. So I guess the Maduro regime is still in place. I don't know. I think it's semantics, because you took out the leader of the group, you left the other people in place, but if you are able to control everything they do and they're going to operate in a completely different way, I mean, their bodies may still be there, but if they're not doing the things that you went to take out the leader for anyway, right? Is it the same regime? There's been but again, that doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter whether you call it a regime change or not. Felt like an extraction operation, yeah. Their butthurt he didn't tell them, yeah. It is okay to call regime change. I understand the media is trying to make it sound like a bad thing, but you don't have to accept that. It's like, yeah, this is, again, one of the more badass examples that we've seen, especially in recent memory, of the United States power projection. Who else could pull that off? It was awesome. Venezuela is a major cog in the deep state. The repercussions will be vast. Yeah, this is what we talked about last night, a little bit on the power. It's like Venezuela to us is the Ukraine to Europe and Russia, like how Russia is handling and why they're going there. It's the hub of corruption in that hemisphere. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most. Like, these constitutional discussions are fun and they're interesting, but what happens geopolitically elsewhere in the world because of what Trump did here, that's the stuff that's like kind of fun to chew on. Because we've been at the center of this conflict in Ukraine since before Trump even got elected. He was, promising he'd get it ended. But he's been right there looking for a resolution. There's been reasons, and we don't maybe even know fully what those reasons are. I suspect Zelensky or whoever's controlling him, or probably a lot of it probably goes back to NATO and the UN. But those are the people that have been stonewalling this. Every time it comes to the repeat of the narrative and the cycle of the story, it gets derailed. Well, does Putin now have the tacit approval or at least justification of like, okay, well, Zelensky, we're going to come and extract you now so that we can accomplish our geopolitical goals in this country very near and dear to Russia? Like, how's everybody going to respond to that? If Putin goes in, kidnaps Zelensky, and then is able to resolve the war in Ukraine, or at least that's what he says, in the immediate aftermath of that, what is the world going to say? It's like, yeah, well, Trump just did it. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to seeing happen, potentially. Yeah, and Vlad does not care what anyone says. His media is much friendlier, maybe. You could argue controlled. People will. Jon, is not the complete lack of anti-aircraft fire on incoming assets to remand Maduro from the military base evidence this is a show? No anti-aircraft, really? Well, that's the thing. It could be, and this is bicameral. You can engage with both of these. If you think of the story we're being told by the mainstream media, right? Maduro bad, all these things bad, like not a negotiated exit. This was a regime change. It's for the oil, all those things, all the normie narratives. We were told that it was Space Force and Cybercom who went in, turned off all the power, hacked everything, all these things, made sure that they weren't able to shoot anti-aircraft weapons at the planes coming in. That's what we're being told, right? Sorry, one second. The flip side of that is, yeah, this was much more coordinated. And that's just a cover story. They never had the ability, or they didn't care. Like it was simply for the show of it. Two totally possible things. We don't know how much of one versus the other. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. But the story of it is badass, regardless. The story, the public narrative of the whole thing is pretty badass, even though I don't think that's exactly what happened. Rebel Native, the big picture seems to indicate that Putin has more restraint than we do. Yeah. Why is that? Does Putin have a federal warrant for Zelensky in Russia? Yes, he does. We looked that up last night. He doesn't have a bounty on him, but does Russia have a warrant for Zelensky's? He's on a wanted list. On the Interior Ministry's wanted list, which functions as an arrest warrant for individuals sought on criminal charges. He was added in late February. And that's why we went and got Maduro, right? Is just an arrest because he's a drug smuggler and leader of a cartel. It's not legitimate. And nobody can argue that Zelensky's also legitimate because they haven't held an election there in like 3 years. The 3 years past their election. Actually, let's just look that up. When was the election in Ukraine? We'll just do this. When was the last election? When did they postpone? Because they postponed during the Biden administration. I can't remember if it was 23 or 24. He was elected in 2019. Yeah. His 5-year term was set to end on May 20th of 2024. The elections were constitutionally scheduled for March of 2024. They postponed them indefinitely. So he's 2 years past, almost 2 years past when he should have had an election. He's not legitimate either. So all the same excuses apply to Maduro and Zelensky. They apply to them both. Russia has a warrant for him. He's not legitimate. And I mean, you could argue nobody's legitimate because of the election systems in this world, but let's see what happens. He's got all the same excuses. Just a theory. This is from BLR63. But what if he was no longer useful to the deep state and they were getting ready to take him out? Maybe he's actually in protective custody. I guarantee you there will be people, if they end up, giving us a story that he was executed, talking about Maduro, there will be people that are like, well, he's just in protective custody now. He's WITSEC. Everybody who dies goes to WITSEC. Wake me up when the hangings start. No new stories or narratives. Chad's a faggot. Who's Chad? I agree. I have a cousin named Chad. He's not a faggot, but other Chads I know definitely are. Okay, we do have other stories that we could talk about. Let's see. No, did we talk about the institutional home purchases on the show yesterday? I think we did. I thought this was hysterical though. The food pyramid gets a Maha makeover. Carbs demoted, butter promoted. On Wednesday, Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced a new inverted food pyramid that prioritizes many foods that were formerly demonized under prior guidance. New pyramid reveals an upside-down triangle with nutrient-dense items like meat, cheese, and vegetables like broccoli and carrots at the top, the broadest portion of the graphic. The next row features items like whole milk, salmon, berries. The bottom, the narrowest portion of the inverted pyramid, shows items like whole grains and other bread products. To me, even coming up with a new food pyramid, waste of time. Does anybody actually use the food pyramid? Like, I know we learned about it in the school, but like as adults on your day-to-day, how often do you come in contact with the food pyramid? How often do you even think of the food pyramid? I don't remember the last time I even was like, oh, I wonder what the food pyramid says about anything. I forgot it had existed until this thing came out. It's like, it's great. Yeah, it's much healthier. I'm sure it's the way it should be. But like, what kind of impact are we talking about with this? Like, is it going to actually change? Like, where is it going to change things? Change it in schools? It's going to change it. I mean, I guess, yeah, education, what we teach people, sure. But as adults, I'm curious, like, how often you guys use the pyramid? It's definitely a win. Anytime you change something to what it should be, it's great stuff. Has to do with the guidance and rules for federal food programs for schools, military, VA. That makes sense. Will help quite a bit. Not individual, it's institutional changes. I can get on board with that. I just thought it was funny. It's like, oh, I completely forgot about the food pyramid because that does not affect me personally in my day-to-day in a long time. Okay, institutions, schools, hospitals, institutions, care homes, etc. Change from the bottom up. Okay, you guys are making good arguments. I approve. Change schools. I can get behind that. Let's see. One of the most prominent criticisms of the pyramid was that it was already influenced by corporations. Broader patterns show the impact. 95% of the 2020 to 2025 Dietary Guidelines Committee had industry ties. Sounds like we just need to get rid of the big food from their hands on all this shit. John is food pyramid blackpilling. It's not blackpilling. I was just like giving you my perspective on the food pyramid. I do not interact with it much, but you guys make some great points, and I approve. I'm white pilled on the new food pyramid. I'm gonna get a poster of the new food pyramid and hang it in my background just because I love it so much now. We didn't need approval. It's just what we believe. Just stop drinking soda and eating super processed foods. Future you will thank you. Farm to table is a great goal. Stop eating the poison. Yeah, diet is a good part of it. I still do the intermittent fasting. Like sometimes I won't even eat until supper. Some days. The problem is then like I get hungry later again. And so sometimes snack late. But it's still only usually like two times eating in a day. I've also, Zach got me like doing exercise stuff. He motivated me. He's doing a bunch of squats. Now he's not because he's hurt. But I've been doing 50 squats a day, as many pull-ups as I can handle in like one go, and then push-ups as well. Kind of as many as I can do in one go. I'm gonna try to do that every day and just keep going up. The squats, I'm increasing weights. Eventually, I'll do more reps too. But it feels good to get like moving again. Kind of let that go the last 6 months. A lot of stress from the stupid lawsuit and everything. Just been so busy. And that's one thing that I've sacrificed. I'm trying to get into it again. Look good, feel good. I'm embracing a low rep mentality, John. How low? How low of a rep? Like a 0 rep? That's too low. You need at least some reps. Intermittent fasting is a superpower. It's really easy for me, actually. Like I don't even get hungry anymore. Originally when I first started, it was hard. Like the first 2-3 days, you're cranky. You're black pilled on dieting at all. Like it's just the worst. Dieting's the worst. But then once you get past that first 3-day hump and like can overcome the cravings, doesn't affect you at all anymore. Doesn't affect me at all. I go to the gym every day to undo all the sitting I do all day. Yeah, I still do too much sitting. When my kids are here, I'm more active, obviously, especially in the summer, like outside running around playing football and stuff. The world's record for fasting with doctor supervision was 387 days. That is a long ass time to go without eating. But anyway, Very excited now about the food pyramid. White pilled on it. You guys convinced me. Kash Patel says they are the FBI is investigating organizers and funders of anti-ICE protests for impeding law enforcement. Good shit. I might not have a whole bunch more stories. Oh yeah, the Rumble having Rumble Wallet now open to everybody is really cool. So I'd encourage you guys all to get on that. You know what? I might even have an ad for that. Let me see. Hold for processing here. Love me some Rumble Wallet. Oh, it doesn't look like I do. Probably because CanCon took it earlier this morning. That's okay. Did I say the House Republicans have referred Walz and Ellison to the DOJ for fraud allegations? At the January 7th House Oversight Committee hearing, Reps. Kristen Robbins, Walter Hudson, and Marion Rarick testified about massive fraud in programs like Feeding Our Future, where $250 million in child meal funds vanished into luxury purchases instead of feeding kids. Claimed Governor Tim Walz's administration halted probes after a 2019 whistleblower reports and rebranded fraud as overbilling, while AG Keith Ellison met with suspects and received donations shortly after. Rep. Anna Polina Luna, of course, grifting off the topic, referred both officials to the DOJ for potential charges. To me, that means like little about whether or not we're actually going to see justice here because she did it, if I'm being totally honest. CanCon took it at 12:02 Eastern. That's why. Trick is to eat keto for a week before trying to fast. That's probably smart. I can remember to feed the kids, but do I ever get around to making something for myself? Nope. Coffee and cigarettes until 5 lately. Not cool. Probably good for the diet, though. Our trade deficit went way down. It's still a deficit, but yeah, it did go down to, I do have that up. October trade deficit narrows to $29.4 billion, smallest since 2009. I'm excited. Like Trump is clearly on a trajectory here where we're going to get this to a point where it's positive. We're going to have a trade surplus, which is a good position to be in. And like this comment here, it's a sign of continuing onshoring in the U.S. 100%. This is definitely good news to see. I bet he has it flipped by Q2. I think with that, that's all I got. Unless you guys want to read the War Powers Act with me. Sounds boring, though. Anything else you guys want to talk about? What's the purpose of Rumble Wallet if you already have cold storage? Anybody know the difference? Well, this way you can support Badlands hosts by throwing a little Bitcoin in there. It's a great way to support us. And like I said, when it first launched or when we first signed up for it might have been 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. I don't remember. The donations to the Rumble Wallet are going to be split evenly amongst the hosts. But we're going to wait until we get like a certain amount in there. Like it doesn't make sense. We have $60 in there or something right now. We're not going to split that out like weekly and everybody get $1.50. We're going to make it worthwhile because even the fees on like having to transfer that stuff, I'm sure there are some. I haven't tried it yet. But Ramon, when will the Marines go into Minnesota? I don't know. That's a great question. I cannot predict the future. I do not anticipate Trump to like back down from this though, with all the news and the virality of the subject there. Kyle, I found that taking certain supplements in the morning kills my appetite. I only eat once a day and then I take the rest of my supplements at night. See, when you do that stuff, you learn. VP talking about creating a new USAG specifically for fraud. Man, that would be great. 54 and jealous of your hair. What do you do for it? Yeah, it's a slow day here. My hair, I mean, it's thinning. So don't be too jealous. But I have like, Zach got me on the minoxidil or whatever. Like sometimes I go in spurts of that. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, my hair's thinning. I'm going to put the stuff on there and I'll do that in the mornings, but otherwise nothing crazy. Johnny signed an EO about this. About what? Let me go back and refresh the presidential action pages because I don't see anything about the EO you're referring to. Marina Soda has a nice ring to it. Whatever happened to the czars? That's a good question. Where's our czars? Where's our fraud czar? The reason we're having an issue with the czars and not talking about them enough is, one, we don't have a pyramid poster of them, so that's probably required. And two, we need a czar at the top of the food chain, the czar Banks. John, you are tall. Hope for top loss. Yeah. Going to mention again, Badlands Award Show. I do like that idea. It's more so coordinating that. We'll put it together, though. An extra AG isn't great. An AG that does the job would be better. Agreed. Let's do a special counsel. When does Congress pass a new budget? Did I miss it? I think they have to vote on that by February or something, don't they? When is the next potential government shutdown? Let's see what it says here. Next major potential federal government shutdown point is tied to the current funding deal's expiration at the end of January. January 30th, 2026. Ruh-roh. Hope we get another shutdown. I don't know if you guys heard, but last night on the Power Hour, we announced that General Quast is going to be starting a show on Badlands Media, his own show. Very excited about this. It's going to be every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and he's going to have a rotating guest. So he's going to be the guy on the show every time, and then there's going to be a rotating group. Like we're going to go through all the Badlands as like the co-host with him for a show, and then he's also going to bring in experts and people he knows from the outside based, on whatever topics he wants to discuss. And it's mostly going to be space, like the future of space. Space Revolution is the name of the show. First episode next Wednesday is going to be with Chris Paul. And the role of, at least for when Badlands people are on, is kind of to play skeptics, because there's a lot of these topics that, people have their beliefs on it, and he's got a unique expertise and experience to discuss these topics, and what he's currently doing now too. And you guys who have been following Badlands and seen him talk, he's just absolutely brilliant, and we're very excited to have him in the mix. The date for the January shutdown was extended out because of the shutdown this fall. Hey man, I just looked it up. AI told me. AI is never wrong. But yeah, with that, guys, I think I'm gonna. Is today Thursday? Is Ghost doing a show today, or that's tomorrow, isn't it? Let's see if there's anything else on right now. I don't think so. So yeah, I'm going to play our soft disclosure ad, because I do think you guys should get yourself some soft disclosure, whether it's the lotion, the deodorant, which is amazing. Got another, I wanted to use more mint and I was almost out of it. So I got an order of the mint stuff back in so I can keep going. 3 deodorant sticks now. I'm on my 3rd deodorant stick since August, starting fresh. I bet it's going to last me through like May. Crazy stuff. And I told you guys I was going to bring the beard oil to show you how I wrote on my face, but I left it upstairs. So maybe I'll do that tomorrow. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. Hit the thumbs up, and I will see you again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on the Daily Herold.
Get you some of that beard oil.
Now that I'm alone, got the close-up. Do you see how awesome my beard looks right now?
I use the beard oil every single day. First thing. Comes out feeling all silky smooth. I take the dropper and I manually apply the oil directly to my mustache. Nice and, oh man, I love it. And then I do drops all throughout the hair, and then I just rub it all in. And then I top it off with the tallow stick on the face.
Dude, I feel like I have to grow a beard just to try this beard oil. It sounds
do it, Jay.
Amazing.
It's all from softdisclosure.com, and the best part about it is you'll be supporting Badlands Media, Annie from Willow and Farms, and basically 3 of Annie's neighbors. So that's 5 total American companies that you'd be supporting with 1 purchase.
I have been using the Soft Disclosure scentless beard oil every day after the shower. It looks unkempt, but it feels silky smooth. I want to look a little wild and unapproachable, but for the woman I trust, she'll be like, oh, it's actually kind of soft. He is approachable after all. Otherwise, stay away. And Soft Disclosure will help you too with that, if that's the very specific vibe you're going for.
That is very specific, yes.
You guys are supporting American businesses when you do that. It's absolutely incredible, and you get a great product.
I did have a couple of rants come in. I just want to read these real quick, and then I'll let you out of here. I wasn't going to come back on, but you guys encouraged me to. Nancy K. Reese says, if we cut off all their funding, federal funding, we should also stop taxing them, representing them at all in the federal government, but then all the blue states would be dotting the country as foreign enemies. It's an interesting thought. Then Q Swords 3 says, John, did you see Flynn reposted Shipwreck? I did not see that, but I'm going to go look for that right now. So thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.